Are we filming? Yes, we are. So welcome to another video. This is a podcast, and I just want to address comments about one specific video. You know the one it is. It's about losing this in a cafe. This Sylvine memo book. I've got maybe about 50 of these. I buy them in bulk. I love the paper for fountain pen use. And so I lost this. It was taken out of my bag. Very, very clever. And I'm pretty sure that when they realised it was just a notebook and not a wallet, they probably chucked it away. I've had a good look, but I down a few footpaths and I couldn't find it, so there we go. And I didn't have my name or an email address in here, any way of contact, so if it's found, it's just lost. It's just one of those things. And I lost 3 weeks of notes, which is a lesson learned. And so in future, what I'm going to do is just take a piece of A4 once a day, put it in the proverbial inbox or basket or cardboard box. So if the worst happens, I love writing when I'm out and about, cafes, etc., trains, buses, but I'm minded to, if the worst comes to worst, if I just use a piece of paper, then I'm only going to lose 1 day's worth of notes. And if I use a book, then I can literally just take what I have written on that day and put it into my inbox by removing it, either putting the whole notebook in the inbox and tearing the papers out or whatever, or using a filofax, whatever. So what I'm minded to do is try and avoid having a build-up of notes, which are not worth anything to anybody other than myself, but they are valuable to me because the way I work is I love jotting things down. Sometimes I come up with, I'm in a prolific writer of jotting things down. So this is why I have this channel, because everything is geared around processing that handwritten data. But what I want to do is address all the comments so far that have been made against this one video. So let's start, and then I might do a bit of housekeeping at the end. So 12 Half Shell, who's one of my channel subscribers, says, when I saw the thumbnail and headline, my initial thought was, for the love of God, not the Me Plus. Now, as you all know, I have a Me Plus in personal size, 18mm rings, or is it 16? I've forgotten. But Pueblo leather, Krauss rings, perfect flatability. Perfect flatability. It's designed to have perfect flatability, and I love it. I try not to take it with me, although I did take it earlier on this week to a council meeting. Because I was writing quite a lot of notes, and okay, there's a risk, but I took it and it survived. But I try not to make a habit of that. What I should have done was taken a few papers out. I should have kept my Me Plus in the house, but there we go. So there is a risk if you take an expensive binder, maybe a filofax, an expensive filofax with you in your bag to work. Or use it on the train, etc. There is a small risk. There's a small risk that you will lose the whole thing, either because you leave it accidentally or it gets stolen. Thieves are well aware of the increasing value of filofaxes and similar binders. So it's an opportunist theft that might net a lot of money. So you have to be careful. I'm not trying to scare people, but you have to make You have to be streetwise about this. So I am glad it wasn't the Me Plus 2. Okay, Ivan says, who's also a channel subscriber, he says, I have to admit, I too thought it was one of the binders. I'm glad it wasn't. In IT, so he's obviously involved in IT. In IT, when someone has a computer stolen, the computer is replaceable, but the data is a goldmine. Depending on the notebook, it could be the same issue. Yes, I totally agree with that. You have to be careful. Another channel member says, I do respond to as many people as I can, but I'm prioritizing channel members plus most of everybody else. But it's a perk of being a channel member. You get you're more likely, it's never guaranteed, but you're far more likely to get a response if you're a channel member. So there we go. Just a little plug there. Sorry about that. I'm from Toronto, which is a great channel name, says, so glad to hear that. I really hope the UK manages to fix its basic security issues soon. I'd love to travel there one day, but all these recent crime reports make me want to wait it out for now and hope things improve. I had a little look. I'm assuming this guy is or lady is from Toronto, and certainly street robberies statistically are less likely in downtown Toronto than they are somewhere like London. Overall crime in the UK, we are told, is down, but certainly what I call snatches, where people grab things, particularly mobile phones, on the street, are up by 13% year on year. So it's an issue, and the Metropolitan Police in London are very, very aware of it, and they're, because I suspect the government are very, very concerned about this. So they put pressure on the Metropolitan Police to keep the numbers down. But it is an issue. It really is an issue. I haven't checked anywhere else in the States or India or China or Japan. I suspect it's lower in China and Japan, probably because the penalties are higher. I think one of the frustrations in the UK is our prisons are at capacity. They're actually letting criminals out early before their sentences have finished, because there's not enough to free up space in the cells for more criminals, which is a tricky thing, but that is the situation we are in. And there's a lot of desperate people, a lot of drug users, I guess. So we are in a tricky situation. However, I would say my gut feeling is I regularly, well, not so regularly now I've moved to Wales, but I've over the last 20 years I've been to London maybe 500 times, and I've never been robbed once. But then again, I don't get my phone out generally, and that is the key, and that's something that we all need to be careful of with regards to combining our wallet with our filofax, or our filofax with our wallet. I have tried recently to combine a filofax Portland D-ringed using treasury tags as a combined wallet and inbox, if you like. I did start with a diary, but there wasn't enough space in mini size, so I've gone for personal size diary in my Me Plus, and then I was using my Portland as an inbox with 50 sheets of Clairefontaine 50 GSM paper. But I'm now kind of, instead of using it as an inbox with a wallet, I'm using it as a wallet with those 50 sheets of paper still in there as a backup. But I prefer other forms of inbox. So no one's going to snatch these, or it's highly unlikely, because these do not look as if they contain credit cards. But if you've got something made of leather, like a small mini filofax, there is a possibility that people might assume that it is a wallet. They won't necessarily go, that's a filofax. They might, because the size is very similar, they might see it as a wallet that they can, you can be targeted. I was in Cardiff a few weeks ago, and I definitely felt that I was being targeted as I was walking along the street. So you have to be streetwise about it. They say, by the way, I'm the one that kept insisting you sell me that Guildford Mini Extra Slim, but worry no more. I'm not going to worry. Okay. I feel relieved. I finally found something very similar from Nolte Bindex or Bindex in Japan. It's outrageously expensive, but I absolutely love it. Thanks for introducing me to Slim M5 binders. I've completely fallen in love with the black leather slim design. Well, thank you. And join the club. It's the size that I absolutely love. But I use it for a variety of. Right, I haven't got my Portland here, but I do have. I've just emptied the contents of my. Are we still filming? Yes, we are. I've just been using this, and I've decided this is my plotter Mini 5, and I have plans for this. But all will be revealed in a future video. But yes, it's a brilliant size. I'm in love with the size too. Okay, Karen Rond, I think. Forgive me if I have pronounced your name wrong. I recommend you invest 8 minutes watching a YouTube video entitled Productivity Secret Weapon Pocket Mod for Next Actions and Ubiquitous Capture Tool. It expands your folded paper idea and could be useful to you. So if you look in the comments of this particular video, you'll come across this this particular comment third from the bottom, because I always set the comments so that the newest ones appear at the top for your convenience. So this is third from the third comment on this particular video, so it's easy to find. Now, I have tried this a few years ago, about 5 years ago. It's not really for me. I know what the person is saying, the lady is saying. So you can make a little booklet out of a sheet of A4. So imagine this is folded over, and you just unfold it and cut it in a certain way, turn it round, and you can form a little booklet, which is 8 pages, 16 sides. But for me, I like the sort of the free form. I love the handling of this, because you could a single sheet of A4, particularly this Clairefontaine paper, which you can scrunch up, and it just works. So you could, if you wanted to, if you felt the urge to write in A4, you can write in A4, or A5, or A6, or A7. Very, very flexible. So the pocket mods works for some people. I do appreciate that, but for me, a sheet of A4 works. But thank you for the suggestion, and please look at it if you're curious about what a pocket mod is. Johnny Regadoo says, that's terrible. Stealing property is one thing. Stealing thoughts is another level of low. I totally agree. Although, in mitigation, I would suggest that the thief wasn't specifically wanting to steal my notes. They just unzipped the back of my backpack, took it out, deftly took it out, realised that it wasn't a wallet or anything useful. It was just a notebook, and then probably discarded it. I certainly don't imagine they're going to start a YouTube channel with 3 weeks of ideas that I jotted down. But it's a great point. It is any sort of theft is bad news, isn't it? Not only for the individual, but also for society. And if the thief is caught, it could affect their career or life or relationships even. If you're thinking about becoming a criminal, don't do it. Jason de Quadros, what a great name, says, I always liked your level of expression. You are now in the same halls as people like T.E. Lawrence, that's Lawrence of Arabia, who lost a draft manuscript of 7 Pillars on a train. Granted, he was younger than you, but he rewrote based on memory. I am sure what you lost won't be as important as what you recreate from memory. Nice video. Well, praise indeed. I wouldn't put myself in such exalted company, but I really appreciate that. T.E. Lawrence's memory sounds like is much better than mine. Partly because I suffer from ADHD. My long-term memory is very good, but my short-term memory and my attention span is incredibly short. And from primary school, I found myself writing in notebooks instinctively as an aide memoir, because my memory, my logical procedures for managing myself on a personal basis are very good, and they've been developed over presumably the last 55 years, so they work very, very well. I suppose it's a bit like someone who has a visual impairment. Their sense of hearing is enhanced to make up for that. So my short-term memory is enhanced by my desire and proficiency using handwritten notes, or indeed notes that I jot, voice memos on my phone. I used to use a dictaphone. Do you remember those? Where it was like a small cassette recorder, and it was a hand-operated battery tape recorder. For many years, I found one of those fantastic. But I think I've got one somewhere, and it's probably got some of my last memos on there's a cassette in there, I know. So I'll have to play them just to see. But yeah, it's praise indeed. Thanks very much. Daddy Dibs says, I never keep anything in my back pockets. Everything I carry is in a sling bag that is always on my chest, so I see it all the time. Sorry for your loss, but a lesson learned. Kudos. Yeah, absolutely. And a sling bag where you've got a single sling and your bag is in front of you across your chest is a really good idea. I'm aware that some sling bags have a cable inside the strap, so that it's harder to cut. So if someone comes up to you with a knife to cut the strap on your sling bag, it won't cut so easily. So it is an issue. It is an issue. Personally, I mean, I'm a photographer amongst other things. I know that I'm aware that photographic sling bags, some of them are very expensive, £200, £300, £400, £500, and they're you might as well, if you're using one of those, you might as well put a big sign on your back saying, I am carrying expensive camera gear, because thieves are pretty knowledgeable about bags, etc. I mean, when I go to London and do street photography, which I guess it can be a bit dangerous, maybe, because you're putting yourself on some mean streets and sticking a camera lens into people's faces sometimes. Sometimes I ask permission, sometimes I don't. You know, the golden rule is don't get caught. That's the rule. But I sometimes use a shopping bag because it doesn't look like a camera bag. So it doesn't look like I'm carrying any photographic gear. Just an ordinary photographic bag will mark you out as a target. So sling bags, I know they're very popular, and you have everything in one place, your passport and your wallet and your currency and your car keys and everything in one bag. I'm not so sure that for me personally, I wouldn't want to do that. I have 2 or 3 coats and jackets that have many pockets, and so I'm basically wearing potentially a jacket that can carry as much stuff, as much gear as a sling bag, but it's distributed into various pockets. Unless someone wants to nick your coat, you're going to be less of the key is to be the grey man or woman, to blend into your environment. So don't look like a tourist if you go to a capital city like London. Don't do it, because you are, although it is unlikely you're going to be a target, it's all to do with reducing the risks. You can't eliminate risks, but you can reduce them by becoming the grey man. If you're a photographer, in my case, carry a like a shopping bag, and when I mean carry it, I mean use a cheap rucksack and then use a clip on the front of the strap of your rucksack. Just have your coat and umbrella in the rucksack, but everything else in your like a shopping bag that is just basically hanging down in front of you. But I sew the back half of the bag, so someone cannot reach in to the back of the bag where it's sticking out behind me under my arm, because it's all sewn up. You can only the access is only at the front. Is that pedantic? I mean, I don't know, because I've not felt anyone fishing in my bag. I've not caught anyone having anything in my bag. But on the London Underground, our underground tube train system in London, it can be packed. Have you ever seen the videos of Japanese staff pressing people in to try and get them to just wedge them in before the doors shut? It's not as bad as that, but it can be nearly as bad as that, and that is when you're going to be robbed. You've got to be very careful. You've got to know where everything is. You've got to position yourself in the carriage so that I mean, I don't want to sound really pedantic, but I position myself so that oh, excuse me, I'm not only less likely to be robbed, but I'm also looking at everybody around me, not directly, because that's a danger as well, from a point of view of minimizing the chance of being stabbed, for instance, which is a possibility. It is a possibility, and I think a lot of people on public transport, trains. I mean, a few days ago we had a intercity train where someone was running amok and stabbed a number of people. They're all out of hospital, but initially they were all critically injured. So this does happen, and we've had bombings, explosives. We've had some really, really high profile incidents. Some terror related, some perhaps due to mental health. I don't know, but it is shocking, and so probably it's more in our minds than statistically it should be, because it's a very rare thing. But nevertheless, I've noticed that people are much more aware of their situation now, even to the point. I mean, I was on a train the other day, and it was the track was so poorly maintained that I was right at the back of this particular train, and it was doing about 70 or 80 miles an hour across country, and it was whipping around, and I honestly thought it actually felt like, I'm digressing here, I apologise, it actually felt like it was going to derail. And I asked a friend of mine who's retired now, but he was a train driver in the UK. Where's the best place to sit in a train from a safety point of view, from a point of view of derailments? And he said in the middle. So that's interesting. But we are where we are. So I'm not a fan of sling bags, but it is important to make your own personal judgment here. Suswat says, I'm sorry that happened. Peace and love, Suswat. And Suswat is one of my long-term subscribe. Oh, excuse me. I've just got to have some more coffee. I'm struggling today. Wagamama says, that is a shame. One trick I use, as I constantly mislay bits of paper. I often snap a photo. I also do this with receipts, etc. I see no harm in doubling or tripling up data. I have a shared Google Calendar and a wall calendar for the family, plus my diary in my filofaxes. It actually helps me remember to write it down more than once. Lots of good ideas there. Fantastic. And I must admit, this lady is more organised than me, because I don't do that. Although I should practice what I preach, because I do recommend this, but I sometimes forget, and I don't do it all the time. It depends what it is. But I do photograph receipts because I'm self-employed. Here in the UK, we have to keep our accounts as a sole trader. We have to keep them for 6 years in case HMRC decides to have a look closely at what we're declaring. And I've found that till receipts, because obviously you need if you want to claim on your expenses, as we're allowed to by law, and why not, you need to keep receipts. But the ink, the printed out receipt tends to fade after a while, after a few years. So I certainly take pictures of my receipts because of that situation developing and not being able to prove my expenses. Joseph Dixon says, with any luck, it wasn't stolen. Rather, it may have fallen out and eventually discarded as trash. I frequently forget to zip my backpack's back pocket. No, it was definitely, in my opinion, it's a good point, but I feel 99.99% certain that I zipped it up. Because I'm absolutely paranoid about keeping everything wired tight. It's just something that I've done. So there's no paranoia. I just make sure that everything, all my pockets and bags are zipped. Nick Bernstein says, you might want to consider taking just photos of a page when you're done. Your phone will sync it, presumably. With the advent of films, you'll be able to have an AI read them and act as a supplement to memory down the road as it fades. Well, I do use AI, along with just about everybody else these days. And certainly, I would say most YouTube content creators use AI. Because you're in competition with other YouTubers, so we all use AI to a greater or lesser extent. But I'm not yet using AI to interpret receipts, but I'm sure that will come in the future. So good point. Random Watcher 2025. Well, what a fantastic name. I've only lost one once back in about 2000. I used it to keep a huge list of everything I had committed to do at work. Everything, small and large, was there. We went to one of those corporate offsite strategy days at a hotel, and I had it there in the day. Next morning, no, gone. I think I must have dropped it in the car park. It was absolutely horrible. I was so upset. I spent the next few days emailing all the people I dealt with to explain my loss, asking them to send me a list of what they were expecting from me. I created the list and everyone else felt either sorry for me or thought it was funny. Stresses me out now thinking about it 25 years later. Do you know, I've not been in that situation, but listening to that fills me with horror and dreads. I have been in situations in a former life, because I've been throughout my life I've been employed and self-employed at the same time most of my working life. So I've always had some sort of side hustle, one or more side hustles going on. Yeah, I would have been mortified. But for the grace of God, go I. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just lucky that I haven't been in that situation, but I can empathise with that big time. What a terrible situation to be in. And this gentleman says, I assume it's a gentleman, might be a lady. In fact, why would I think it's a gentleman? I think I misinterpreted I got confused with the name, the actual username. But no, it's just a random name. So it could be male or female. But I'll tell you what a stressful situation to be in. So my sympathies. Lewis Little says, a couple of years ago, I switched from a backpack to a messenger style bag, which is less vulnerable as it's carried on my side, and I swing it round to the front when I'm in busy places so I can see any hands that stray near it. Bish, bash, bosh. I like that. Bish, bash, bosh, as we say in London and the environs. I've seen you've got to be careful with pickpockets, because with these messenger bags at the front, what they will do is they will have a bag of their own, and they will have it on their front, and that conceals their hands. So if they have it, they wear it so the strap is slightly higher than your bag, so that the top of the bottom of their bag is higher than the front flap of your bag. So that means that their hands can be completely hidden, like on a tube train, a packed tube train or something, while they fish in your bag. So if you are going to have a bag at the front, don't hang on to the rail and then be looking at your phone. Make sure that you hang on to the rail, but then have your own arm across the flap of the bag. But yes, I mean it's a good thing, but it's not foolproof. You have to be absolutely critically streetwise if you're using a like a bag like that, especially because if you're using a bag like that, the inference to the thief is you've got something in the bag that's worth protecting, and that's why you're carrying a sling bag like that, or a messenger bag. Lavender Love Life UK says, "Oh my lord, when I read Lost My Notebook, I felt sick in my stomach. I will watch the video now." Well, I hope you've watched the video. I shared in the video my solution, and so my solution would be to use maybe an A4 sheet, or use a notebook, but tear the sheets out, and put them in the basket at the end of the day. Echo Witch says, backups are tricky. In IT, we have a rule, the 3-2-1 rule. I've heard of this, and I have worked in IT in the past, but it was a long time ago. I can't exactly remember the precise nature of the backups, but we had a grandfather, father, son type of thing going on. But Ekovich says 3-2-1 rule, 3 media types, different storage types, 2 copies of each. One of the copies off-site for fire and natural disaster reasons. You could think on, for example, having an original, a paper copy, maybe a photocopy, and a digital photo backing up the digital copy to cloud. Now, this is something that's been mentioned by a few people, and I think it's a great idea. And this video has struck a chord with a lot of people, and I'm very, very grateful for your comments. And I think this is such a common theme about having backups that it will reinforce in my mind the need to do that. You know, peace of mind. Salam Salamat says, what city or area are you in? I've been paranoid of this happening to me. Knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet. I carry a big tote shoulder bag and put all the smaller items like my pen or pocket note into a big zipped pouch inside the tote bag. That way it's more difficult for them to slip a bigger item out. Okay. Well, where do I live? Well, I live in Wales. I won't say exactly where, but I guess it doesn't really matter too much. I would say, from my experience, would, for instance, the capital of Wales, which is Cardiff, be more dangerous than, or more risky than, the capital of England, which is London, or the capital of Scotland, which is Edinburgh, or you know, I don't know. I would probably say, in my experience, that it's probably the same. It is probably the same. So it's best to be safe anywhere. Don't let your guard down. How do I pronounce this? LM2, LM4, LM. Okay. I once found a credit card on the ground outside our local cafe. Luckily, and this is a really interesting one, luckily it had a name on it, and it was a reverend, so like a preacher man. I googled his name and the local churches, and I found his mobile number on his church website. Great detective work. I texted him, letting him know I'd found his card and where I found it, and my address not far from the cafe. It was very odd. He grilled me on how I got his name. I explained, but he was very suspicious of me. He called round and picked up his card and didn't even thank me for my trouble. I was very polite throughout. I really hope someone works out who you are and returns your notebook. Despite my strange experience, I truly believe the vast majority of people understand when an object means a lot to a person and they take pleasure in fixing a stranger's misfortune. Well, I didn't, when I lost one of these, I didn't have any identifiers. One possibility would be to put at the front reward if found, and then give your name and, I would say, not your phone number, email address, and set up a specific email account for that purpose, because you don't want your main one for security reasons. But I think that there's validity in that. Oh, excuse me. I'm struggling today. I do apologise. I get very, very tired very, very easily if the video is more than maybe 15 minutes long. But we're going to keep going. If it's just a single sheet of paper, I don't think it's really necessary. But certainly for some people, having on the front page, inside the front cover, some details of a reward, a small reward, might be a good idea. Certainly, back in the day, Filofax themselves offered a service where there would be a reward if found, and you could contact Filofax, and they would have a database of people, and then But they don't do that due to GDPR regulations. So interesting. But yeah, good idea. Nib Scratcher says, and I like that, Nib Scratcher, if you like Sylvine paper, then you should check out their index cards, which are of the same excellent fountain pen friendly quality. The 5x3s fit perfectly in a pocket Filofax after they have been hole punched, which makes a great notebook. Or you can clip a wad together with a mini bulldog clip. Then you aren't stuck with all your notes in one notebook. I take some out and then file them in a card index box at home when they are filled out. That way I can rearrange my notes and keep them indexed. Index cards, from a point of view of minimalism, brilliant idea. They're quite thick though. So if you had them in a pocket-sized Filofax, you wouldn't have very many. I quite like the fact that this Clairefontaine 50 GSM paper is very, very thin. So that is this is my paper of choice for like what I call disposable stuff rather than archive stuff. So that's what I do. But the 5x3 cards, index cards with a bulldog clip, really good idea. It has been, very popular, especially popular with people doing GDD or who is it? Merlin Mann and his Inbox Zero thing. But yeah, very, very minimalist and a good idea for some. So I wouldn't discount it. Personally, I don't use it for myself because I just want to go even more minimalist and just, there we go. But good idea, thank you. June Sagini says, those Sylvine notebooks take me back. I used to get A5 exercise books when I was a teenager, about the only ones you could be guaranteed to find in regular shops in the 70s, 80s, i.e. non-stationary shops. Now, have I got one here? I have over there, but I'm not going to get up. I remember distinctly buying these in Woolworths. Woolworths is no longer operating in the UK. They closed about 20 years ago, I think. But there was a Woolworths in virtually every town, and I remember buying these from Woolworths in the 70s, mid-70s, early to mid-70s. And I can't remember them having a stationery department, but they did have these notebooks, which are made in the UK, and the paper is milled in the UK. So I have a strong affection for these. And also the paper is it's very cheap. These cost less than £1 if you buy them in bulk, and they're very fountain pen friendly. In fact, they're so fountain pen friendly. I sometimes, and so cheap, I sometimes wonder why, if this paper is available commercially, why paper manufacturers take a risk, like Moleskine. They take a risk that the paper is not going to be fountain pen friendly. Quite often it isn't. In fact, the 20 odd Moleskine notebooks I've had, only one has been fountain pen friendly. So they're obviously using different paper from different sources, maybe the cheapest they can get their hands on, instead of being consistent. If they bought their paper from this mill, so Sylvine make the notebooks, but they don't actually make the paper, but that is milled here in the UK, then maybe they'd have a better reputation, who knows. But these I remember distinctly from childhood, so thank you. Paul Jenkins says, thank you for posting this. I'm sure it's a wake-up call for many, including myself. I'm retired. Until retirement, I never kept a diary, journal, etc., other than at work for specific work-related things. It was online and on my employer's internal computer system. However, I'm now starting to write down general thoughts and some project ideas for my main hobby. I keep them brief, usually little more than an overview and a few bullet points. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I never include names, addresses, or personal data, whether it's my own or anyone else's. I haven't settled on a specific book paper type size, but as I use a fountain pen, I travel with a cheap sailor copy, a Yinhao 82 with a small box of ink cartridges. The topic of copies / redundancy is something I've been giving thought to of late. Like many, I carry a mobile phone, in my case an iPhone, as both my wife and I are invested in the Apple ecosystem. Yeah, same here. The fact that virtually everything on the phone is synchronized across iPad, MacBook and Mac is a blessing, but also a potential curse. So should some thieving beep steal it and manage to get the password? At the simplest level, I've started to take a quick photo of the pages containing notes, and I won't go to I won't carry on. But one of the risks, apart from letting my coffee get cold, is the fact that within the Apple ecosystem, someone, if they were being nasty or malevolent, they could delete your stuff. If they nick your phone, if they steal your phone, they could go through and wipe everything. So it then populates through the ecosystem. So I'm not sure whether there's a way around that. But I guess obviously the key is to not have your phone nicked. But yeah, it is a worry. One thing that I do is I keep things fairly brief, and I don't mention people's details on here. But what I do is when I do keep a diary, and I've kept diaries in different formats for the last 51 years, is I think to myself, what interesting nuggets or snippets of information would people enjoy to read? And so I do add like addresses and names and like how much fish and chips are, those sort of things, which are going to be really interesting for people to read long after I've gone. So I do I do try and store interesting information. Like I've got several archive folders in my filing cabinet with an example of a pay slip from a company I worked through, so people can see the company. They can see how much I earned that month, for instance, on my salary, because that's really interesting. It's the sort of ephemera paperwork that people don't see as valuable to future generations, that becomes very, very rare for working class people recording something in a diary. So I'm trying to create a pen picture of life in my life in the 20th and 21st century for future generations to read in the 23rd, 4th, 5th, 6th centuries. So I won't know whether they find that appealing, but it is something that I do habitually in a diary. Yeah, I don't record it electronically because obviously I don't want to be hacked, etc. But I do record it via pen or fountain pen, as the case may be. Marina Garrison says, always put your email, phone number inside the front cover. If I also write that there is a small reward for returning it. Hey, I'm happy to give someone $50 if they find it. Okay, I would say $50, €50, £50. I would say that's a not too much, but not too little either, because if it's only a $5, people aren't going to be bothered. But yeah, I would agree with that. The only thing I would say is I would set up an email specifically, like a second or a third. I would just have an email, a general email that isn't your main email. I wouldn't put your full name. I would just put your first name, and I wouldn't put my phone number. But each their own. But it's a good idea. So thank you. Paul says, usually when it occurs to me, I take a photo of my notes and place it in digital notes purely for backup. Okay, yeah, again, good point. Raiden Winter says, how strange. I don't frequent cafes, but I wonder if thieves target them due to all the tech and backpacks and whatever. That is a really good point. I never thought about that. But maybe they do. I mean, there's a lot of people who go into a cafe and quite often they have Wi-Fi and they're in there for sometimes a few hours nursing their rapidly cooling cup of coffee. And so I guess what you're paying for, they're using it as a mobile office. I've even seen people do that in my local McDonald's, although I'm not a big fan of McDonald's these days because of my health. I have been a McDonald's fan most of my life, and my kids and my grandchildren love McDonald's as well. But yeah, I mean, if you're eating or chatting, there might be some distraction opportunities there for thieves. I hadn't really thought about that, but very, very good point. So thank you. I can't really write all the power 6989. I take a photo of my notebook pages once a week in case of loss for easy access. Good stuff. Thank you. Johnny Ragadoo says again, that's terrible. Stealing. Oh no, we've done that one. And that is it. Just as a matter of interest, there's you'll notice a pinned note from me at the top. And I'm just going to go into a little bit of housekeeping. I don't know how we are. I can't see the clock from here, but from now on, I have recently started to change things around, and I'll mention this briefly. If I have some notes, if I want to provide some additional info for that video, I'm going to put it in a pinned comment from now on. because I have noticed that people are more likely to answer my comment if there's already if my comment is there. So I think that's good for conversation, and it allows people to directly comment on something I've mentioned in a pinned comment. So not every video, but I probably won't go back over the last 500 videos I've made, because it would take a month of Sundays to complete. But from now on, I am minded to, add a pinned comment. What's happening in the description, you will have noticed, perhaps, that I'm now using the description just to thank you and provide a link if you want to join to become a channel member, and a link to my eBay account. If I very rarely sell a filofax on eBay, but if I do, there's the link there. But just occasionally, as you know, I have said, oh, I bought this thing, I'll leave a link in the description, and then I forget or whatever, and it's lost in the moment. But what I am doing is, you'll notice from now on that I use the description to show you what I've purchased, and these are items that I have. These are items that I have actually purchased myself. Oh, there's something flying around. Okay. So you will notice that in my description, I've just got a list of typically the last 40 or 50 items I've bought. So I buy lots of stuff, as you know, and I only put items in that list that I endorse, i.e. I'm happy with. If I buy something and I'm not happy with it, then I don't include it. So why do I do that? Because you can do, I don't know whether you're aware, but you can do a bulk edit. So for someone like me that's got over 500 videos now, it'd be very, very difficult to change something if the link goes bad, for instance. But you can do a bulk edit, but you can only change everything. So that precludes putting anything in the description specific to that video. And that is why I'm using the pinned comment, because the pinned comment is more approachable and amenable, and it generates more comments. So that's a great place to put any information pertaining to that particular video. And the description is just a general thing that I can edit in bulk whenever I buy a new item. And you'll notice that my most recent item is at the top, and then you go all the way down the list, typically 45, 50 items. And then if there's no room at the bottom, because there's this 5,000 character limit for a description, then you might find that the thing that I bought several weeks ago drops off the list at the bottom because there's not enough space for it. And so my recent purchases are at the top. So almost all of them have got an affiliate link. If I find it cheaper elsewhere and there's no affiliate income to be earned, then I always put the cheapest place, even if I don't earn any money. There's one or two companies, especially ink, that I don't have an affiliate link for. I just put them. I just do that because I want you to get the best deal here, but it allows me to, if I spot a better deal elsewhere from a different supplier, I can just edit everything. I can do a bulk edit to reflect one particular link so that the link stays current. Anyway, I've waffled enough. Thanks very much for watching, and I won't suggest you do things like add or subscribe, because you know how to do that already. So thanks very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.